Hello and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined by my two rather strange-looking co-hosts. Here with the fresh cleanup. To my right, it is the one and only, straight out of a cowboy film from the 1920s.
Menard Strong.
Menard Strong, it is the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And behind the computer, polishing his own eggs, it is Bruce, the tugboat Venditti.
What's up?
Your eggs nice and polished this morning?
Oh, very polished.
Should be sponsored by Manscaped. Anyway,
Probably pink.
nice and
Go ahead.
Some pink eggs.
A baby's ass.
Anyways, the divisional round has come and gone. We were all sitting here touting how good we did. Uncle Sam was one pick away. I was one pick away because unfortunately I did go against every better judgment I have and pick Dak Prescott, and Bruce was 4 for 4 on the weekend. So, again,
Yeah.
just listen to Bruce. Don't listen to anything your Uncle Sam say, and you will probably be better off as far as the betting front goes. I will say I did pick all 4 unders, so I give myself a little pat on the back for that one. Uncle Sam did go, I think you went over on every game.
Yeah,
So
I did.
Luckily, we stayed away from that line. But here,
Well, I think there was a lot of scoring that was taken off the board in these games.
okay.
Anyways,
But let's start off talking about the first game of the weekend, which really, I'll be honest with you, there was one team out of the 8 left because everybody knows, obviously, I wanted to see Tampa go all the way, but there was one team out of the 8 that were remaining going into this weekend that I was really rooting for. Now I'm pretty much the only team I like left is Cincinnati, but I really wanted to see Jacksonville upset Kansas City in this game, and they fell just a touchdown short. Kansas City defeated Jacksonville at Arrowhead 27-20. Jacksonville did indeed cover this game, but I'll tell you this. I really thought watching this game the entire time that Jacksonville may have been able to just, right up until they kicked that field goal, I thought Jacksonville may have been able to wave the magic wand and at least send this game to overtime for a minute. I don't think Jacksonville played awful. I think that Kansas City was able to. Jacksonville hadn't faced a defense like Kansas City. Kansas City threw things at them that they hadn't seen. And I'll say this. I think everybody wants to talk about Kansas City's offense so much that we kind of forget a lot of the playmakers that they have on defense.
yeah, Chris Jones is a fucking monster.
I mean, their defensive front can play with the best of them. And this weekend, I think in pretty much every game we saw outside of, well, even in the Philadelphia-New York game, we saw the team that controlled the line of scrimmage ultimately won every single game on both sides of the ball, right? I think Kansas City did a great job of stopping a lot of Jacksonville's playmakers up front. Kansas City didn't allow a sack in this game. Whereas on the other side, Trevor Lawrence was pretty much under duress for most of the game. I mean, he made some throws that kind of made you raise an eyebrow at the same time when he did have time. But overall, I don't think it was the best Trevor Lawrence performance we've seen in these playoffs. This was Trevor Lawrence's first loss on a Saturday ever, dating back before the Clemson days. So this game to me,
I mean, that it is nor here nor there.
well, going back to the line of scrimmage talk, Travis Etienne 10 rushes for 62 yards. For some reason, and I don't understand why, but here we go again. Why Travis Etienne only got the ball 10 times, I don't really understand. I guess
They rushed for 144 as a team, though, the same number as the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think Travis Etienne was surprisingly
when he had the ball.
good against a good defense.
But again, it's just the volume wasn't there. I mean, if you look, If you look at the Chiefs running backs, Pacheco and McKinnon got 12 and 11 carries respectively. McKinnon pretty ineffective, but he's more of a I think McKinnon's more of a decoy to try and throw him the ball. But Pacheco, 12 rushes, 95 yards. You can't knock that. Kansas City controlled the offensively. They were able to do pretty much what they wanted, I would say. Right? Pat Mahomes, 22 for 30 for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did go out in this game with a high ankle sprain, which is something to monitor next week. He was able to come back in. His ankle was heavily taped. But Chad Henne went in there. He got 7 passes. He threw a touchdown. He did exactly what he needed to do to get Mahomes back out on the field and did it effectively. He didn't.
That was a hell of a drive. That drive started at their 2-yard line.
And
he brought them all the way downfield.
He brought them all the way down.
And the offensive line was just amazing in that aspect. They controlled the line of scrimmage through that entire drive.
Juju Smith-Schuster said something interesting after this game. And this kind of goes back to what Tyreek Hill said when he left. As good as Pat Mahomes is, and this was Juju Smith-Schuster said this after the game, anybody could come in at quarterback with this offense and that offensive line and be effective. And I'll be honest with you.
That's a little fucking slap in the face.
Well,
right
I thought the same thing, but I'll be honest with you. I don't think he's all that wrong. I don't think he's all that wrong. I mean, they have absolute studs on that offensive line, whether it's Creed Humphrey or anybody on that offensive line. They know what to do. It doesn't matter who's in there.
Pacheco was a monster in this game.
Pacheco has emerged as, in my opinion, a top back in this league this year.
They just don't use them.
He got 12 runs. You know what I mean?
They get cute and they get away from the run, but when they're committed to the run, when they want to commit, like they had to do with a backup quarterback in there, they controlled the game.
They still ran it down their throats and moved down the field. Yeah. At the same time, going back to Juju's point, Travis Kelce had 14 receptions for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, pretty much HR Puff and stuff could go out there and dump the ball off to Travis Kelce, and you let him knock 3 guys over on his way to the end zone, you're going to score, right? So I don't really disagree with him. Obviously, though, going into an AFC Championship game against who I believe is the hottest team in the league in Cincinnati, you are going to want to have Mahomes out there as close to 100% as he possibly can be.
We'll see what happens.
It's going to be something to monitor.
Mahomes is kind of funny with some of that stuff too. Sometimes I think he's a little. He likes to. He should win an Academy Award for some of his shit. I don't believe that Mahomes was as hurt as he was putting on to be.
Well,
that's personally because if he had the injury, the same injury that knocked out which back got knocked out, the one Tony Pollard. Basically the same thing, a roll up, but Pollard was fucking done for the day.
They confirmed Pollard had a fracture.
Correct. His was a lot worse. Where Mahomes, they're playing on grass, and there's a little more give there. So,
they said, this was the same injury that sidelined Mahomes for a couple games in 2019.
Okay.
But Andy Reid already he crushed all speculation. He said Mahomes will play. He said he's rehabbing all week.
Yeah, he said he felt better.
It's going to hurt the day after more than right after.
Well,
tape it up a little bit, after a little bit, and you get back out.
So there's no speculation on whether or not Mahomes.
This could be a double-edged sword for Cincinnati. Next week. This week coming. Well, because if they want to really line it up and smack them in the mouth, this could happen.
Well, I think so too, and I want to get into the matchup.
We'll get into that later, but they won this game. They won it. It was not a blowout by any means.
No,
I think Jacksonville was in it right to the end. And you know what? They got a lot of promise coming up next year.
Well, we need to talk about that because I'll be honest with you. I kind of fell in love with the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. And when you look at it, we talked about this a lot in the offseason. They signed a lot of guys that nobody else wanted. Who wanted Zay Jones going into this year? Zay Jones has come out as
Christian Kirk. Who would sign Christian Kirk as their number 1 or number 2?
Right.
He was the third guy in fucking Arizona.
And we go in here to look at it like they got a lot of guys coming up on contracts after
They got
this year.
veterans, and that was the key. Marvin Jones is still there.
Well, Marvin Jones.
And I think he'll possibly be gone this year.
He's a free agent this year.
Correct.
Evan Ingram's a free agent this year.
Right.
I mean,
They need to re-sign him. If there's anybody that made their offense go, was Evan Ingram.
yeah, I agree with that 100%. But that's another guy. Nobody wanted Evan Ingram.
Correct.
And granted, he didn't have the biggest impact on this game, but he definitely had an impact on them on
I
getting.
think he had a
them
big
there.
impact on this game. He had some key catches in this game.
Yeah, but the thing is, they needed somebody to. Zay Jones, it was 5 for 83, but he had a 40-yard catch. So I mean, granted, they need somebody to step up a little bit better than they did. But this was a ragtag kind of thrown together thing.
They were
Yeah.
a team.
Jamal Agnew. I mean, granted, he fumbled the season away effectively, but again, another guy who had a
That fumble, that cost him the game.
Kind of
Right.
We got rid of him.
but that was another. They wouldn't have been here without him.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, he had a key return in that game that they got lucky that the fucking kicker brought him down, because that would have tied that game up. It could have ultimately cost Kansas City that game.
You know, everybody
Those are
on this.
teams of destinies, that are built on guys.
Correct. This was a ragtag thrown
You know who
together
did
team.
that in the
And
NHL when
none of these guys had
when
any
the Knights
experience in the
were
playoffs.
First a team, they hired a coach and they just sprinkled in all these guys from around the league that nobody wanted, and they made a run for the fucking cup.
Yeah, and I mean, effectively, this is the thing now. Can they keep this going? You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of guys who were big in the. I mean, it wasn't me because I love shit like this, but there's a lot of these guys, the talking heads, who were like, "What the fuck are you doing, paying Christian Kirk all this money? What the fuck are you doing, bringing in?" I mean, nobody. The thought of Zay Jones to begin this year being a top receiver in this league was mind-boggling to everybody, right? Evan Ingram,
Well, because he didn't prove anything up until that point.
right? Nobody thought Evan Ingram would make a team, and here we are now. These guys are they're the playmakers for this team.
Yeah.
Going forward, I think Trevor Lawrence proved himself this year. There was a lot of speculation prior to this that this could have been a draft whiff. I don't think there's any question about that now. I think Trevor Lawrence,
He's probably the most sure thing I've seen in quite a few years.
I think he's going to, over the next couple of seasons, he's going to solidify himself as an elite quarterback in this league. I truly believe that. Going forward for the Chiefs now, I don't know if there's really a question mark after seeing this last week for this team, right? If Mahomes would have played the entire game and they scored on the Chad Henne drive, but if you had Mahomes in there the whole time, maybe they get an extra TD out somewhere. Maybe you know what I'm saying? Even though this game was close, they were pretty much in control the whole time.
Yeah.
Right now, with the remaining 4, where does Kansas City rank in your eyes?
I still think the road to the AFC Championship is obviously going through there. I mean, can they pull off the upset this week? That's the key.
Well, I will be honest. I'll tell you the truth.
Because I'm going to be honest with you, I think that Cincinnati might be favored in this game.
Cincinnati is favored in
Yes.
the AFC Championship game.
I mean, we'll see what happens.
Let's.
I mean, what can you say about Cincinnati? They go into Buffalo, and we might as well go right to
let's
this
just
game.
hop right to that game.
Let's just go right to it. They go into Buffalo, and they came out the same way they did in the infamous DeMar Hamlin game, and they came out. They have not lost a beat. They came out and punched Buffalo in the mouth, which this score should have been more. It should have been 21-0 at one point.
Oh
Some bad calls down
Correct.
the road.
I mean-
I'm not blaming anybody.
Trying to keep it close.
Jamar Chase had a fucking touchdown that they took away.
I agree.
That was absolute turd.
I agree. 1,000%.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
The X factor in this game, I mean, it was snowy. Field was wet. Joe Mixon was the X factor for me in this game.
Joe Mixon was a complete and utter monster in this game. He was the MVP of this game.
I agree. He put them over the edge. And you know what? You have to talk about this running back tandem now, because we have a we have a top 3, in my opinion, running back tandem in Cincinnati. Samaje Perine, when he was put into the game, he had 7 carries for 33 yards. It's 5 yards per carry. He was doing exactly what they needed him to do when Mixon was out of the game to continue the offense, to have it continue to roll. You can't knock it. Joe Burrow, career high rushing in the playoffs, 6 for 31. When it's snowy and it's 20 degrees and you are in Buffalo,
Your quarterback is going to have to make plays with this.
you've got to make you have to be able to make plays.
I'm
with
not
your feet
saying to
across the
be
board.
the next Josh Allen. We're not talking about that because that's the problem. This is the problem with the Buffalo Bills. They can't run the football.
Cannot run the ball.
Period. I mean, I'm not saying nothing about Singletary. He's a nice little back. He's cute. But other than him, they don't have anybody. Now, I'm not knocking the kid
Cook.
not knocking him. I think he needs a little seasoning. He needs time. He's a nice little third down option.
He's definitely not his brother. Let's be real here.
No, he's not. Listen, until they get a running back, and we've been talking about this, why they didn't get on the Christian McCaffrey sweepstakes was beyond me. Because this could have sent him over the top.
Do you think, hypothetically, let's put this in perspective. If Buffalo makes the deal to bring McCaffrey there rather than San Francisco,
Right.
are we having this conversation today? Because realistically, if you look at this team top to bottom, and I'll tell you what, Josh Allen missed a lot of throws in this game, and I got a lot to say about him.
Yeah.
But if they had a stud running back in here, you're in the one team in the country outside of Green Bay who must have a great running back. You must, because
Outside
in
Kansas
days
City.
like this, right? In days like this, you have to be able to run the ball effectively, and they couldn't. Their leading rusher was Josh Allen, 8 rushes for 26 yards.
Yeah, it's
Guess
bullshit.
what? You're not going to win. You're not going to win these hard-fought, again, games controlled at the line of scrimmage. If you don't have someone who can effectively pound the ball, you're not going to win this late in the game.
I agree. I agree. Hey, you know what? This goes back to the old saying. Running the football and playing defense wins you a championship, and that's exactly what happens at this point.
Right. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Because if you're unable to run the football, a la Dallas, this is what happens.
And
This is what happens. You become one-dimensional. I'll say this: Zach Taylor did a great
job.
They did a great job defensively against Josh Allen, because Josh Allen, I'll tell you what, he's not the goods. I thought everybody thought this guy was the goods, MVP this year, this, that. He ain't even in the top 5, bud.
I'll be honest with you. In my eyes, and we talk about this all the time with the Cowboys. I don't want to jump there yet.
Oh.
But we talk about this all the time with the Dallas Cowboys. You win 12, 13 games over the regular season, you make it into the playoffs, and you bust out, right? Granted, both these teams won their wild card games, but
They should have.
Buffalo is really starting to mirror image the Dallas Cowboys, where every single year they're right there. They're the favorites going in. I mean,
It's becoming
they're the Yankees.
ridiculous. It's becoming ridiculous. They changed some overtime rules because they're saying Buffalo got robbed at Kansas City. They're changing rules because of it. And it's just stupid. It's stupid. You're going to have to face the fact. You know what? Number one, I think not having Von Miller destroyed them because they had no pass rush.
No.
They didn't touch Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow was elusive enough to get away when they did get a little pressure on him, and he was making plays downfield.
poised.
So what are you going to do? Without Von Miller, they were average on defense. And they were missing quite a few guys, DeMar and a couple other guys, and we get that. But you know what? They don't have it. And I don't think Josh Allen, if they do not find a running game for this guy, he will go down as seeing what you're seeing. They'll make the playoffs, and they'll get bounced every year.
This is the long and the short of it. I think Joe Burrow, right now as it stands, is probably, because here's the thing. All right.
He's the best quarterback in the league.
He's the best quarterback in the league right now. We saw this. All right.
In the league.
Last year, the Cincinnati was, they're coming off of a 3-win year and they make it to the Super Bowl. Great. Now,
Right, and they make it as a 6th seed, and nobody really thought they were good enough to do anything. That's all bullshit.
Okay. And then now,
and actually, they won the Super Bowl.
They didn't
the Rams
do anything.
The Rams are already in Cancun. All right. Team fell apart.
Guess what? They're still there.
It's weird because
They're still in
just the
Cancun.
Buffalo Bills right now. So
Who's the Buffalo Bills right now?
Cincinnati Bengals.
How do you figure?
They haven't won a Super Bowl yet.
They should have won one last year, but
No,
we're not going to
they
go
did.
there.
Well, okay, but here let's hold on now. So now we're 2 years in a row where Cincinnati.
Yeah, but Buffalo's been in this for 3-4 years now,
Right.
and they can't get over the fucking hump.
And let's
That's true. That's true.
be honest
true.
here. Let's
Okay.
be honest here. If we go back 4 years,
Okay, I'll give you that.
All right. Even prior to that, we weren't in a situation where Buffalo was a 3-win team. We were in a situation where Buffalo and New
Buffalo
England were
was getting
still
spanked by New England every year.
correct. They were still exchanging blows. It wasn't.
Yeah.
Cincinnati prior to last year was a dumpster fire.
Correct.
Okay.
give you that. I'll
Of
give you
every
They've
that.
been
sport.
picking
Okay.
at the top of the draft for the last 5 years.
I'll
Right.
give you that.
And it would have been very easy for Cincinnati to have been a one and done Cinderella team. Everybody, when Cincinnati was playing poorly in the middle of this season, everybody's saying, "Oh, the big question: Will Joe Burrow
Everybody
ever
wrote them off at the beginning of the season when
Right.
they went 0-3.
Will Joe Burrow ever win a Super Bowl?
Or
When is his
0-4, whatever
playoff
they
window
were.
close?" At the end of the day, this team is real. This
Yeah.
team is for real, and you can't knock it.
And I'll say this: he's playing the best out of any quarterback I've seen
Agree.
in the past 4 or 5 weeks. He's playing the best.
And
Outside Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts was hurt for a couple of weeks, I truly believe that Joe Burrow's the best quarterback in the league.
I'm going to ask you a question. Head up, one drive to win their prospective conference championship. You got Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts. Who you going with?
I don't. I'd probably say Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
See, I'm still going to stick with Burrow.
Joe Burrow. Listen to me. Nobody throws the ball better than Joe.
Nobody has a
Nobody throws. He's more accurate.
Just dead on.
He's dead on, and I just don't. He puts the ball in places that some quarterbacks wish they could do.
Yeah.
As far as a passer going, he is the best quarterback, and I'm including Patty Mahomes in this. He's the best quarterback from here out.
I think Burrow personally looked much better than Mahomes this weekend. And I get it.
Mahomes was
has
playing
a
out
bum
one
ankle.
foot, blah blah blah, acting and what.
I mean, you can't. There's nothing realistically. There's nothing you can say about Cincinnati at this moment that would lead you to believe this team doesn't have what it takes to win a Super Bowl.
I think they do have what it takes. The defense is playing good at the right time. One thing that scares me about Cincinnati, and I will say this, they didn't have an issue this week with Buffalo, but Buffalo wasn't Buffalo. They weren't playing very well at all. In fact, they were skeptical coming into this because they were so wishy-washy the last 4 or 5 games of the season. I think they got lucky to be where they're at. I think they got lucky to be where they're at, to be honest with you.
Well, the road here wasn't all that difficult. They had to beat Miami with Skylar Thompson, and they barely did that.
Right.
The last couple of the games of the year down the stretch were pretty abysmal.
They were kind of exposed.
Yeah.
I would say.
So now going forward, Buffalo's out. What do they need to do going forward to establish themselves to get over this hump?
They need to get a
Because
running back.
they can't beat Cincinnati, and realistically, they can't beat Kansas City in the playoffs. We've seen it multiple times now. So,
Well, what was the one thing that gave up Buffalo this year? What's the one thing that you seen going down the stretch that really was their Achilles heel? Their defense.
yeah,
The defense was supposed to be this vaunted machine at the beginning of the year, and they were. They were playing real well early, but as soon as they lost Von Miller, it seemed like they just lost it.
well, I think they've relied a
And
little bit.
Miller went out. Which game was that? The Detroit game when he got hurt? It
No,
was the Detroit game.
I think it was the game before.
The Miami game? Where he went out and
Yeah,
he didn't
the
come
game
back
2-0
in.
went out.
And when he had the knee surgery.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Here it is. Buffalo.
I'd say it's their defense.
Buffalo-
Their defense needs to revamp.
they have to. You know what? They got old quick on defense.
Yeah, Matt
got
Milano
old
is a
quick.
monster. The
Matt
guy's a
Milano was
tackling
monster.
machine.
I agree with that.
I like him, and Tremaine Edmonds is just as good as he is.
Absolutely.
The secondary, they had Jordan Poyer as their safety. He's a little long in the tooth.
Yeah,
He's
you know
long in the
what?
tooth.
He was
They
very
need to get younger on defense.
Poyer was very effective last
Yeah.
year. Tre'Davious White was very effective last
Yes.
year.
And
Both
he had a
those
bad
guys-
game.
both
He had a
those
bad
guys-
game
yes.
trying to cover.
Yeah, I mean,
Not to say. I mean, this guy's over here trying to cover T. Higgins and trying to cover Trevor
Correct.
Chase. That's two of the top guys in the league.
agree. And when you're able to throw as many looks at a defense as Kansas City is, because last year it was the Jamar Chase show and 1,800 yards and all of the above.
But T. Higgins.
But
T.
now,
Higgins was a monster last year too.
correct, and everybody wanted to call that one a fluke too.
They got two number one receivers.
They got 2 number 1 receivers, and I'll be honest with you, this year, go look at the numbers. Hayden Hurst, the top 5 tight end
Yeah.
through the second half
He's
of the
just
year.
getting passes thrown at. You know
Correct.
what? They're only throwing at him because he's open.
Right. I mean, be realistic here. Over his last couple of games, Hayden Hurst, yardage-wise, he's been up there with the best of them. And he hadn't had that kind of a year.
Right.
Granted, he spent some time he was injured for part of this year as well.
True.
But I will tell you this much. The guy's been effective. He's just another option for them.
Yeah.
He's just another option.
I think this is where Buffalo needs a wide receiver that, Gabe
It's
Davis, man, he
consistent.
disappears.
Right. That's
He
consistent.
disappears, and you're like, what the fuck? And
Go back to this. box
that's
score.
personally what I think. I mean, they need somebody that's consistent. Nothing against Gabe Davis. He's cute when he's running down the field when there's a blown coverage. But outside that, man, he's not been impressive at all to me.
Gabe Davis, two for 34. What's bad? When Cole Beasley decides he wants out of Tampa Bay, comes here and has
And the guy hasn't played all year.
right and puts up the same numbers as Gabe Davis.
Right,
Gabe
exactly.
Davis cannot be a reliable
If Gabe
number 2
Davis
receiver.
can't be a T. Higgins, then they need to
Then
find
they need to
somebody else.
find somebody that can. And Isaiah McKenzie's not that guy either.
No, he's a return guy.
Correct.
I mean, let's be honest.
Let's be realistic about it.
Yeah.
Whereas you have a receiving core with Cincinnati.
They had that
that's-
Shakur kid that was catching some passes.
Yeah.
He didn't look too bad.
2
I
for
think
40.
they need to utilize him a little more next year.
Mm-hmm.
About
Instead of putting Cole Beasley and these other guys in there, put this Shakur kid in there and give him a shot, man.
I mean, you have Jamar Chase as your 1, T. Higgins as your 2. And here we go. There's another thing here. And granted, he
Tyler
had a very
Boyd.
quiet game, but Tyler Boyd as your number 3.
He had 3 big catches in that game that kept the sustained drive.
He had 1.
That sustained drives.
He had 1 catch.
One catch? Yeah.
He had a very quiet day, but it came down to you didn't really need him.
No.
What Mixon did in this game, it put them over the edge.
Correct.
Put them over the edge. Moving forward, it's hard. Cincinnati's my favorite right now. I disdain a lot of the other teams that are still alive. A la Kansas City, a la Philadelphia, a la San Francisco.
Stop.
But I don't see there's nothing that leads me to believe Cincinnati would be outmatched by any of the teams remaining.
Anyway,
Okay.
Moving on.
moving on.
Anyway,
I
Let's
guess
go
we
to
should
the
just move
blowout.
on right
go
to
to
a
the
few
blowout.
teams you disdain.
Yeah,
Let's move on to Philadelphia.
2 teams that I absolutely can't stand faced off in Philadelphia, and the Giants. The Giants looked awful. Let's be real here, and I'll be honest with you. I think whoever got martyred, whoever got ushered out to get martyred in this game was going to get destroyed.
Okay.
The final in this one, I believe, is 38-7, right? 38-7. Yeah. Philadelphia completely stomped out New York. And here we go. Last week I said it's really hard to play a team 3 times in a year and beat them. Well, at the same time, it's really hard to play a team 3 times in a year and beat them when you've seen everything they got. At the same time, Philadelphia obviously saw everything the Giants had and knew exactly how to play against them because nothing the Giants did work, and Philadelphia clicked on every cylinder. They had well over 200 yards of rushing in this game. Kenneth Gainwell, 12 for 112. Miles Sanders, 17 for 90. Jalen Hurts, 9 for 34. And even your good friend Boston Scott got involved, 6 for 32. And everybody outside of Miles Sanders had a touchdown.
You have a run
running
like
the ball.
that.
And
So you're not going to lose.
The key
when you can run
component
the
of
ball.
this game was Daniel Jones has looked great the last 4 or 5 weeks. My man was sacked 5 times.
Yeah, that's it.
And basically that's the ball game.
Yep. You were able to keep Daniel Jones on his back the entire time. He didn't. Daniel Jones, out of his 15 completions and 27 attempts, did not have one pass attempt where he felt comfortable.
No.
Not one. And it showed from very early in this game.
He
And
thought he was back at Duke.
Yeah.
Running away from all them
Right.
guys from Florida
It
State.
was like,
and stuff.
yeah, he had PTSD.
Yeah.
I mean, running the Saquon Barkley, 9 for 61. That's not enough to get it done when the team across from you is running the ball for 200 yards.
The offensive and defensive lines for the Philadelphia Eagles dominated this game.
Absolute dominance.
And it wasn't even close.
No.
It was over about halfway through the first quarter.
And you want to know what's really interesting to me about this? We've watched these teams play each other, and the
Right.
games weren't like this, right? We watched Washington play Philadelphia, and they were able to contain. What I'm saying is Philadelphia, for most of the year, ran rampant, but there have been times where they were contained. What went wrong in this? Because the Giants' defensive line is no slouch, right?
No,
they're not.
them 2 guys on the inside are game wreckers.
Correct.
And what happened? They were nowhere to be found.
Right.
Is that how good Philadelphia's offensive line is?
I mean,
With Kelsey and the rest of these guys?
I'm going to say, I think Philadelphia has one of the top 3 offensive lines in football.
They're probably number 1
But
in the league.
I just don't understand how it got this bad. I don't.
Them guys in the middle could not get any kind of penetration
Nothing.
or pressure.
Nothing. And I don't know if, for me, when something like this happens in the playoffs, where, I mean, you lose by 30, and you're able to put up one, Matt Breida rushing touchdown, you were not mentally prepared for this game.
Well, the Giants, out of all the teams in the playoffs as of this point, were the weakest team.
Absolutely.
Period.
Hands down.
I mean, let's not get overzealous with it. They should have
They
beat
played
them.
the weakest team going into
Correct.
to get in here too.
Correct.
I just didn't expect this. No way.
I didn't expect them to get blown out like this.
No.
I thought it would be a close game, 7, maybe 10 points.
Yep.
I didn't expect them to get blown out by 30 points.
So now, me as a football fan, I'm sitting here trying to assess this, and I don't know if I know Philadelphia is good. There's no debating that. There's no debating Philadelphia is probably the most well-rounded team left in
I
this.
agree.
But, I mean, when you look across the board, do I sit there and think that Kenneth Gainwell and Miles Sanders, even with that great offensive line, are going to be able to go into San Francisco and do what they did this week, next week? No.
Well, it's not that. San Francisco has to go to Philly.
Well, either way, regardless, go up against San Francisco.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
A.J. Brown relatively quiet in this game. I'm sitting here in my head trying to debate were the Giants just completely uneventful, completely.
No. I just think this is the point of the year where you see teams that the talent level, if you don't have it, you're not going far.
Yes, and I mean,
And that's it in a nutshell.
everything in this game pointed to the Giants losing. The
have no
Giants
receiver.
don't have a
gonna
receiver.
do?
They don't have one.
What is Daniel Jones expected to do? With
Throw the ball to
James,
himself.
With Ricky James, Kenny Galladay.
I mean, here, take a look at that. Take a look at that box score. Richie James, 7 for 51. The next,
Your
Saquon
kick
Barkley, 2
returner
for 21.
was your top receiver.
Everybody
Your
else
kick
on the
returner.
team only had one reception. Matt Breida, Marcus Johnson, Lawrence Seeger. I don't even know who these people are.
Slayton.
1 for 4.
I do like Daniel Bellinger.
Yeah,
And I
whatever.
like the Hodges kid. I was actually shocked that they didn't try to go to him more. He
I
just
think-
wasn't open.
I think the Giants knew they were outmatched in this one early, and it just deflated them. I think next week, that NFC Championship game is shaping up to be the best game of the year. I truly think so.
Well, I think both of
There's
these
been a lot
games
of
could
games of the
be
year.
the best games of the year.
Well, yeah.
This is the week. Listen, this will be better than the Super Bowl and everything else this week coming
Yeah,
here.
probably.
This is key.
Here's the $1 million question for me, and this is more
Okay.
rhetorical than me really wanting an answer right now because we're going to get the answer.
We still have one more game to talk about.
Absolutely. But
You know.
my rhetorical here is two. One, will Philadelphia's offensive line be able to play as well against the 49ers defensive front as they did this week? And two, the one way that you're going to possibly knock Brock Purdy off is by getting to him. Does Philadelphia's defensive front, because we saw this week against the game we're going to talk about next, Dallas, who, in my opinion, had the best pass rush in the league, does Philadelphia's have what it takes to make him uneasy? I personally think Philadelphia's run stop is better than Dallas's, but I still think Dallas has a better pass rush. Will those two coincide to where if San Francisco can't run the ball at will and force Brock Purdy to throw a little bit more, will they be able to win this game? That will answer that question in a little bit. But going forward for the Giants, Daniel Jones, not under contract. Saquon Barkley, not under contract. If you look up and down the team, outside of their defense, those are the only two guys they got.
I believe that they're going to work on a deal. I still think you'll see Daniel Jones for sure will be re-signed.
I think so too.
I don't think that's an issue. Barkley, it's going to be a little harder because that's going to cost him.
Oh yeah.
It's going to cost him and cost him big. And do they have enough faith in him to bring him back?
Well, this is my big question. Is it worth bringing Saquon Barkley back?
I think so.
I'm really skeptical about that.
I think it is. I mean, look at it this way. Coming up even in this draft, can you get a guy to his caliber?
Yes.
You think so?
There's one guy.
Who?
You got one shot, and it's Bijan Robinson. His ceiling could be Saquon Barkley.
Correct. The problem is he won't be there
No.
where they're picking.
You're going to have to move. Now,
They're going to have to make him.
at the same time, if you think about this, they have to get receiving help. There's no reason for them to play the season next year unless they get some receiving help. Saquon Barkley is going to demand.
Why are you going to use a draft pick on a running back when you need receivers?
When you need a
as bad as
receiver.
they do?
But Saquon Barkley, and we saw this with Dallas and Zeke Elliott. You're going to pay a guy 25. Zeke Elliott's the highest paid running back in football, and essentially he
making
has
almost $20 million a year.
more than that. Next, I believe this year he
made 19.
19. Next year he's owed $25 million. You're going to pay a guy,
He's a
so and
casualty.
Saquon Barkley is going to want to match that number or higher. So you're going to have to pay this guy $25 million a year. And Zeke has been, and let's be realistic about it, and we'll talk about it more in a second, but all Zeke is a short yardage back. He's the guy you throw in there on 3rd and 2. Because outside of that, throughout the home stretch of this
And
year,
to play center.
that's what he is. He ain't effective at playing center. I don't know. I don't know
horrible
what
at that.
the Giants are going to do, but I don't know with good conscience if you could. I mean, let's stop and talk about this. Look at Kansas City brings in Jerick McKinnon, who nobody else wanted, and look how effective he was in that offense this year.
Like you said, who said it? Like Juju said, anybody could step into that offense and be good. And I believe him.
I mean, I think that personally, if you get some receiving threats in with the Giants, if you give Daniel Jones some options, you can take a mid-grade running back, pop him in there, and he could be effective. I don't know if I'm the Giants, if I am spending $25 million to put the team on Saquon Barkley's back when, to this point, Saquon Barkley's been year on, year off with season-ending injuries as well. He's been healthy all year this year, so everybody forgets about the fact that we have a guy
Yeah, what the fuck?
who's injury
How many
prone.
bets were we talking about this guy going down? He lasted the entire season.
We got lucky this year that
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley.
Well, this is what I'm saying.
McCaffrey both played
Do you
full
think the
years.
Giants have enough faith in this guy to re-sign him to that kind of thing?
If I'm questioning it and it's not my money,
Right.
I think they're questioning it as well.
I do.
That's why he's
do
not
too.
under contract.
That's why I
right
said I truly think you'll see Daniel Jones re-signed. Barkley is another issue. I don't know.
I think
But
I
there's
agree.
plenty of teams out there that would love to have a Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, pay him $25 million.
Buffalo Bills.
He'll play 6 games next year.
Yeah.
You know, I just don't know if I could,
Well, we'll see
with
what
a good
happens.
conscience, do that. And I'll say this: it's because of that. It's because of the holes, right? If San Francisco was in a position where they were going to pay Christian McCaffrey $30 million next year, and you don't know if he's going to, because we got lucky. As football fans, we got lucky. Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey.
And I will say
We're
this
on the
about
field
San
all year.
Francisco. They pulled the fucking string late in the year on this deal.
Yeah, it was at the trade deadline.
It's like they knew where their Achilles heel was,
And
because they had a bunch of guys that were average,
and hurt and banged
hurt.
up and everything else.
and then they said, you know what, we're going to make a run. We got to do something here. And I give John Lynch a lot of credit for doing this.
Agree. And they're in a position to do that because guess what? They don't need to go out and draft receiver capital. They don't have aging, rapidly offensive linemen. They don't have
They have
holes in their
young
secondary.
receivers, a bunch of young receivers that are really talented.
Yeah.
They let a lot of these guys go.
Yeah.
They let a lot of their top guys
They have
go.
surplus.
Marquise Goodwin was there.
Correct.
They let him bail.
They have
let
surplus.
everybody go.
New York's not in that position where you can spend
No.
$30 million on a running back.
No.
And with the off chance he gets hurt, your season is over. Because guess what? San Francisco, even if Christian McCaffrey wasn't there, they'd still be in this mix.
Right.
They may not be as strong as they are right now, but they'd still be in this mix. Without Saquon Barkley, the Giants aren't even in the playoffs.
That's true. That's true, and I will agree with that. That we know what they need to do. They went up against a juggernaut. They got slapped in the face, and the way they lost was pretty bad. I think there was a lot of other teams that could have made that wild card spot and really done some damage where
think-
these guys were unable to.
If Minnesota somehow pulled off that Giants game, now looking
I think
back on it,
Minnesota
Minnesota
would
would
have
have given
put a
Philly
lot
a better
better
game.
game.
Yeah.
Even though their defense was garbage.
That's why I say I think the Giants went into this one completely unmotivated, knowing they were completely outmatched. And that's sad to see.
Yeah.
But realistically, Philadelphia does have what it
They're
takes
for real.
to go all
They're
the
for
way.
real.
Yeah.
They're not fake by any means.
As much as I hate to see it. But anyways, let's move on to another game where I hate both teams.
Oh God.
The Dallas Cowboys.
I don't hear Joe Buck talking about how incredible Dak Prescott is.
Well, here we go. And I'll be
Joe
honest with
Butt-fuck.
you. I'll be honest with you. I was watching. They came out with this. Brady was mic'd up for the game they played against San Francisco. Tom Brady.
Why?
Mic'd up against the game the Buccaneers played against San Francisco.
Okay.
And you were able to see through those 3 minutes how unmotivated this Buccaneers team was and how just depleted they were. I'm going to say this 1,000%. That wild card game that Dallas smoked them in, Tampa Bay lost that game. Tampa Bay was that fucking atrocious, and it made Dak Prescott look like an MVP caliber quarterback. And I got news for you. Dak Prescott is exactly what we thought he was. The Dallas Cowboys are exactly what we thought they were. 3 things guaranteed in this life: death, taxes, and Dallas completely shitting
The best player on the Dallas Cowboys is CeeDee Lamb
Oh,
and Mecca Parsons.
without
Outside those two guys,
everybody else could go.
forget about it.
And you want
Although DeMarcus Lawrence did have a great game.
Marcus Lawrence,
He was there and he was there to win.
Yep.
And I'll give him that. He put his heart and soul out on the field for this game. And let me tell you something. Dallas has got a lot of fucking issues. Number one, they need to get rid of their coach. If Mike McCarthy's still coaching this team next year, it's a travesty.
well,
It's a fucking travesty.
did you see them ask Jerry Jones after the game if he was considering moving on from him, and he said absolutely not.
Well,
I got-
there you go, Jerry. Guess what? You're going to die without a
Hey.
fucking Super Bowl.
Hey, I'll be brutally honest with you. I think that was a bold face fucking lie.
Well, Jerry Jones is a liar.
You saw the heat in his eyes. You
Yeah,
saw the rage.
I didn't know what the fuck I was watching.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to say this.
When
Jerry Jones is not going to fucking deal with it.
No, when the owner looks at the press and he goes, "What happened today was absolutely sickening." If I was Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, Mike McCarthy, if I was the guy who washed the jock straps, I'd be worried about my job.
I would be worried about my job.
Yeah.
If you know what? And I'm going to be honest with you. I think at this point, what does he need to do?
Jerry Jones?
Yes. Now, do you take the young guy that's your offensive coordinator and promote him to coach? Because he is a candidate, he is being looked at by other teams and whatnot. Does he have any faith in him?
You want me to be honest? I'll give you the real synopsis of what I think Dallas needs to do. There are plenty of teams out there that need a quarterback. There are plenty of teams out there who need a quarterback that are not currently a contender.
They're locked into this guy.
Someone would take him.
They're locked in. Dak Prescott?
Somebody would.
Who would be dumb enough?
You got to find the dumb enough team.
I mean,
the Commanders,
but
Washington,
do you
Carolina,
think
Atlanta,
do you think
the Jets.
Do you think it's Dak?
Jets.
Look at Dak Prescott.
Wow.
Do you think it's Dak Prescott,
makes sense.
or do you think it's the system that they're playing?
I think it's both. But
Roberts.
But
No, that's not Robert.
this is what you got to do. All right,
because
if you are
had your
Jerry Jones,
hold on, you had your backup in there because Dak got hurt in the game against Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
He got hurt. You brought in your backup. Your backup won 6 fucking games for you.
This is what I'm saying, though.
And as soon as they make the change, Prescott was garbage from there out.
Dak Prescott.
I don't know.
Dak Prescott
He makes bad decisions.
He has one fatal flaw, and that's in big games. His motor gets too spun up. You could see it. You want to know who Dak Prescott's like? Garrett.
He's going 1,000 miles an hour and doesn't know where he's going.
And ultimately,
he's
what
all over
happens
the place.
is they're doing everything they can. He's out there fighting for his life, but he's moving at such a high rate of speed
he's
not thinking about what's happening and shit gets fucked up. Point blank, period.
Finger gets cut.
Dak Prescott does not work well under extreme high pressure. And that's why the Cowboys are always here.
I think is the older he gets,
the worse it's getting.
It's getting worse. Where it should be getting
building.
better. He should be making smarter decisions,
and it's not.
And he's not, and that's an issue.
The pressure keeps building year after year for Dak, and I think Jerry Jones ultimately.
Dak would be a nice backup somewhere.
No,
where the pressure's not on. I know it sounds stupid.
Dak would be a good starter somewhere where the pressure's not on him.
Like where? New England?
No, absolutely fucking not. But like Carolina, in Atlanta, somewhere where
there is no expectation.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. And if he gets them there, it's all.
I don't believe that because Arthur Blank is not the.
I'm just using.
Coach
I'm using examples. At the end of the day, Dak Prescott is the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and you got Jerry Jones sniffing your ear, and you have the biggest media room in the entire league.
Jerry Jones throughout the coach that won 3 fucking Super Bowls because they couldn't get along.
Right.
But why is he playing with guys like Mike McCarthy?
Because you're
and is that just me?
You're grasping. Jerry Jones is in a very
Jason Garrett. Mike McCarthy. What are we doing here?
You gotta put in the guy who.
Sean Payton. Sean Payton would be a fucking monster with this team.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, he would.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah, he would. As long as Jerry Jones would stay out of it and let Sean Payton
couldn't do it.
Run it.
Couldn't do it.
He can't do it.
Correct.
He can't fucking do it. That's the reason why Jimmy Johnson left because he wouldn't keep his fucking nose on it.
So this is what if
Jimmy Johnson,
Jerry Jones
in his cack.
Listen to me. This was before that. He couldn't stay out of it and let Jimmy Johnson run it. Jimmy Johnson was very successful, and guess what? Jerry Jones just had to try to throw his dick in there to swing a bigger dick, and it didn't work. You know why? Because Jimmy was like, "Fuck you, I'm out of here."
Okay, this is my philosophy on.
Am I wrong?
The Dallas, no. But this is my philosophy on the Dallas Cowboys. If you're Jerry Jones and you want to see a Super Bowl before you're in a crypt, You get rid of
And
Dak
he's not
Prescott.
going to.
You get rid of Dak Prescott, and you get whatever you can get back for him. You have to cut ties with Zeke Elliott. Okay?
Yes.
Now,
yes, I agree.
Now, what we have is a lot of cap room, and you go out and you do what you need to do to bring in, not necessarily via the draft, but there are quarterback options out there who may not be as talented as Dak Prescott when Dak Prescott is under no pressure in the regular season, but can work better under pressure, a la Jimmy Garoppolo, because we've seen him go into playoff games and win over and over.
Hey, Cooper Rush didn't do a bad job while he was in there.
As an insurance policy.
Yeah. No, I
to
agree.
a guy that you already have on your roster that you've seen can play well. And guess what?
I would say you have an open competition between Dak and Cooper Rush, and the winner of that is the backup.
Here, listen, if Dak Prescott is on this roster, with the amount of money he is owed, he will never not be the starter. So the only way to do this effectively and erase all question is you move on from him, because he will not win you a Super Bowl.
So Pollard's your starting running back next year
Yep.
after Zeke, and you got to send Zeke back, and unless you want him to, take pictures with the fans at Cowboy Stadium and have him walk around and sign memorabilia or something.
All right.
You give him that job, because you know what? I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but it's obviously he is not the player he was a couple of years ago.
Here we go. There's a couple ways to fix that. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys need that guy. If I'm Jerry Jones, I'm moving on from Dak. I'm figuring out a quarterback situation that's a lot quieter. I'm moving on from Zeke. I'm giving Tony Pollard 30 handoffs a game. I'm bringing in somebody to supplement him. A guy who you don't pay $25 million a year to. You pay $2.5 million a year, and you get production like Jerick McKinnon did in Kansas City. And I'm rolling with CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Noah Brown. I'm trying to bring T.Y. Hilton back for 1 year. I'm going out and I'm making Odell Beckham an offer, and it's, hey, I'll pay you, a couple $1,000,000 to come here, and you can smile and sign autographs, but keep your fucking mouth shut and don't piss yourself on an airplane. And guess what? Now you have a Dallas Cowboys team, and you leave the defense exactly as it is. Now you have a Dallas Cowboys team.
I think they can get a younger guy in the draft, receiver-wise, to help them.
But I'm not talking about Odell Beckham as being effective. I'm talking about Odell Beckham as the Dallas Cowboys have to have that guy like Zeke Elliott that they can parade around and jump in and out of the fucking Salvation Army bucket.
That's what they should do with Zeke Elliott. I mean, but does he really want to play? Does he really want to play after this year?
Who, Zeke?
Yes.
For the Dallas Cowboys, no. But I mean, guess what?
I mean, does he really want to play? Period.
Can I ask you a question?
Who's going to take him?
What would you do for $25 million a year?
Oh, I would stand there. I would be the backup.
I'd be Jerry Jones' fluffer for $25 million a year. So
Buffer?
guess what?
His buffer?
His fluffer. So guess what? Zeke's gonna as long as they're gonna have him, he's gonna stay there.
Yeah.
That's
we'll see what happens. Guess what? This game was a defensive juggernaut. This game, I thought Dak Prescott was Dak Prescott.
Yep.
The 49ers, their offensive line didn't show up till about the fourth quarter.
I'm going to tell you this right now.
Once they showed up, the whole game changed.
I'm going to say this right now. In my opinion, out of the four remaining teams, the 49ers are the weakest team.
I agree.
I saw that.
I totally agree. You want to know why? Brock Purdy, if he's throwing down the seam, down the middle of the field, he's fine. But if Brock Purdy has to actually read a defense and throw the ball outside, it's just not there.
If Dak Prescott didn't gargle balls, all right, and Mike McCarthy, Cavante Turpin his way out of this game, if that happened, the 49ers, my prediction would have held true.
I agree.
Guess what?
I agree at that point.
Brock Purdy did not look crisp. He wasn't making great throws. Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey had 85 yards respectively. They weren't able to run the ball at will like they have been. All right. Nobody on the team could cover George Kittle. Great. But
well, that was the thing. George Kittle had to make 2 catches in the middle of the field that were incredible catches
that got him
in position to score.
Correct. And here we go. Brock Purdy, realistically, there's a reason why he was the last pick in the fucking draft. And when you have this much talent around you, you're going to look good. But at some point, pressure is going to crack the pipe. And Dallas was this close. If Dallas's offense could have played mildly effective and not made mistakes,
Right.
they'd be in the NFC Championship game right now. And for San Francisco, here's a warning. Philadelphia is Dallas, but doesn't make the mistakes.
Correct.
And their running back can run the ball at will. Or their quarterback can run the ball at will. So, Philadelphia, as much as I hate to say it.
Here's the thing. Can San Francisco gut up another performance like they did this weekend? Can they get themselves up to gut up another game like they just played?
This is
And
what I'm going to say.
took a lot out of them.
If this was Frisco's gut up, they will lose this week.
That was their gut up.
Okay.
You've seen their gut up. The defense is what you thought it was. They got to Prescott. They made him uncomfortable. He did all the things that Dak does. The first possession when Dak threw a pick, what happened? He missed his target by about 6 yards.
I mean, it was awful.
And that was a horrible throw. Didn't know where he was throwing. The DB made a great jump just to fucking catch the ball. I think Dak was trying to throw the ball away.
I think so too. I you know what it looked like? You know that Brady pick he threw in the end zone last week?
It looked like that.
It looked like that.
It looked
that
exactly
bad.
like that. It was either that or was he paid? I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible. So don't talk about the 45-year-old guy throwing fucking horrible passes when you see a premier
correct
paid quarterback in this league doing fucking much worse.
Thank you. Wow, you just defended.
Yes,
Tom
I
for
did
the first
defend
time
him
in your
there.
life.
You know why? Because there's a lot of quarterbacks in this fucking game right now that don't deserve to be there. One is Brock Purdy. The other one is Dak Prescott. And if I keep going down the fucking line, I'm going to expose a lot of people.
So this is my question for you.
Yes. George Kittle was the MVP in this game.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Okay?
But
He was the MVP just because I said he had to make 2 circus catches just
Yes,
to
and they
fucking
were
keep this
circus
game
catches.
as close as it was.
they were. I'm gonna. This is the real deal now for me. The
And that
Philadelphia
Shanahan
game-
got a little bit smart at the beginning of the fourth quarter
Yep.
when he lined it up and started punching him in the mouth when they
Bingo.
were tired. That
If
was
Kyle
key.
Shanahan-
That was key.
If Kyle Shanahan wants to be in the Super Bowl, all right. You see that stat line from Brock Purdy, 19 for 29? No. It better look the exact same way, just with less attempts.
Yeah.
That number
Yeah.
for Christian McCaffrey, 10 for 35,
Needs to go up by 10.
that needs to go up by 10. And that number for Elijah Mitchell should stay exactly the same.
yeah.
Because the only way this team stands a chance of beating the Philadelphia Eagles is if, between Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey, you got almost 30 rush attempts, 30, 35,
Yeah.
and they can run the ball for 200 yards.
Dallas's defense played outstanding in this game.
Outstanding.
I thought they were money because this game would have been out of control if they weren't playing at the level they were playing at. And both teams played great defense. The 49ers defense at one point, they were off the chain. I mean, they were flying to the ball. They were flying to the ball.
Absolutely.
On both sides. Both defenses were incredible. That's why you had a 19-12 game, period.
Agreed.
The problem is this. If San Francisco is going to go in there and put 19 up against Philly, they're going to lose. They're going to fucking lose and lose by 20.
I don't know about 20, but
They'll lose by 15. They'll lose by 15. If they go in there, put 19 up against Philadelphia, they'll lose by 15.
San Francisco's got to run the ball down their throat.
Yeah.
We've watched it.
They have to.
The
If
Washington
they don't, they're done.
Commanders were able to beat the Philadelphia
That
Eagles.
was the blueprint. And
That
how
was
about
the
this?
blueprint. Run the ball 40 times.
Their best run stopper didn't play in that game either. So I will say this. Their defense is they're obviously a well-rested team. They played one less game than everybody else did. The defense is clicking at the right time.
Agree.
They were very, very good against the run. And if Saquon Barkley can't run, I'm not going to say that Christian McCaffrey's not as good as Saquon Barkley because I think he's better. If they can't get production out of McCaffrey, it's over. It's over.
Agreed.
That's my opinion. And guess what? Brock Purdy should be the third string guy just like he is, period. Brock Purdy is a third string fucking quarterback in this league. I don't know why everybody.
Well,
I get it. It's the cool story. It's sort of like Gardner Minshew was. Remember with his dad, his little mustache, all that fucking shit. That's all great. That's all cute. I get it.
I
But
think
guess
Gardner
what,
Minshew's better than Purdy.
dude? It is what it is. Is what it is. Gardner Minshew's a better quarterback than Brock.
Oh, that's what
Stop
I'm
here for a
saying.
second.
You know?
Don't forget, Blake Bortles took the Jaguars to an AFC Championship game.
Yeah, but
All
Blake
right.
Bortles, you know what?
Let's
Blake-
be real here. Good defense and a good running back takes you places.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Um.
We know this.
So, with that being said, later on in the week we will bring you guys our full breakdown of both championship games.
Okay, who do you like going forward right now?
You're gonna have to wait till Friday to find out.
Oh, come on.
You're gonna
Can't
have to
even
wait
give me
till
a
Friday to
glimpse of what
find out. Nope.
I'll tell you why. Like right now,
You're gonna have to wait till Friday to find out.
son of a bitch.
Listen, make sure to follow our socials, Instagram and Twitter at
Don't
Tipballs.
follow me. I don't like people.
Instagram at SalSig. TikTok
Don't follow me.
at Tipballs
He
Podcast.
has a TikTok too.
Who does?
You're on TikTok now?
Do I have a TikTok?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Do I really?
Yeah, because I sent you a TikTok through text message, and then when I opened it, it said it was some Sal Sig like TikTok.
Oh,
Like
one of the
that
girls
post.
made that for me, probably.
You need to start posting on there.
I don't know
Anyways,
what it is.
If you're listening to us
I
on
don't even
Apple
ha-
or
I
Spotify.
don't have the app.
Okay. If you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify,
I got Instagram and Facebook. That's it. And Twitter.
can I finish my outro?
Sure,
So
I'm
you can
sorry.
Figure out how to get TikTok on your.
Go ahead.
If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, check us out on YouTube. Watch us there. Remember to ring the bell and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week, or we'll be back. I don't know. It comes out on Friday. Our full predictions from the AFC and
But
Friday or Saturday. You'll
Whatever.
see us again. The
One of these
AFC and
fucking
NFC
days, I don't know.
Championship weekend. We'll be back. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good week.